Hello and welcome to another episode of the Obstacle Race Magazine podcast. We are now on episode 16. I've got Kevin again with me this week. Hello, Kevin.
Good evening, Carl.
Right, as most of you can guess, I'm sure you can, the theme this week for the news is going to be not just toilet rolls or hand sanitizer, but the coronavirus and COVID-19 and the effect it's having on the mass participation industry at the moment. I put out an extra episode this week, episode 15, just to make people aware of what knock-on effects their actions could have on events if they start sort of asking for refunds or whatever until things are more clear. So that'd be a good one to go and listen to. It's been a strange old week from probably Tuesday or Wednesday onwards, I think it was. It started to gain momentum in terms of the government actually finally had their, is it Cobra
meeting, yeah. I mean, things seem to have really accelerated the last few days, haven't they? And
yeah.
While there's been no official stance yet on mass participation, I think this weekend there's been a few sort of half marathons and some of them have been ridiculed for still going ahead. But as RDs, I think you've got to go by the government guidelines at the moment, and if you can get your race done and people are happy to turn up and race that they've been training for, I think it's good that they've happened. But
yeah,
they might be the last ones that we see for some time.
Yeah, they're predicting June as the peak of when the virus could potentially be at its worst. So yeah, it's a strange one. So Mighty Deerstalker, Rat Racers Mighty Deerstalker, that still took place this weekend with, I think they put like a real range of extra precautions in place. Glove wearing marshals on finish line and drinks in bottles, and I'm not 100% sure what else they had in place, but I know they had quite a big list of different bits and pieces that they were going to do. But obviously it's given us food for thought, especially you, Kevin, because obviously you have to shoulder the majority of the burden for Mud 7 organisation and what have you. So I know it's given you plenty to think about, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment everything's still going on as planned. It's not till the 8th of August, so I looked earlier, it's 21 weeks away. All we can do is hope and pray that the virus is gone, dealt with, and the world's getting back to some sort of normality by then. But in the background, we will look at an alternative if worst does come to the worst on postponing it to later in the year. But at the moment, it's all systems go for the 8th of August. We've announced 5 of the zones. We've got the other 2 zones to announce as well. But the event will only go ahead if people keep signing up and supporting the event as well. I know it's a very difficult time at the moment, and your podcast that you did last week was sort of a very heartfelt message that events need more support than ever now. And it's true. It's not just the events industry, but there's so many different economies throughout the UK that are going to be grinding to a halt over the next few weeks. Lots of jobs are going to be getting lost. Lots of companies are going to be going under. And all we're asking is for the support of the event, not just for us, but also for the charities. It's going to be huge, especially for the Midlands-based charities. If people decide not to go and sign up for their teams now, so they can't raise money for them, there's still plenty of time to train. The self-isolation piece, which people have been speaking about for the 70 plus, I don't think it will come into force for the whole country. So if you're fit and well, and you normally go out and do your training, I'd please urge you to carry on doing that. And if you're looking at getting one of the free charity spaces, please do sign up still, because they're going to need the support more than ever. Every event that gets cancelled, which means charity runners can't go and take their place on the start line, means they're losing money, not just to keep the charity going, but also just to pay their staff as well. So all we can do is ask. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be like you say, such as London Marathon getting postponed. That's potentially a knock-on effect for a charity of some of the big ones. That's millions of pounds.
Well, it's tens of millions that get raised through a London Marathon, and even just moving it back 6 months, those charities will have budgeted to have those funds in April. So now they've got to wait till October, and it will take some charities down as well.
Yeah.
And the government can't just support every single business. There's talk of the pubs getting closed. I know they've started doing that in Ireland now for 4 weeks. What business can sustain a 4-week closure and the staff? And that's only 4 weeks to start with as well. It could get prolonged after that. It's just a start.
Yeah.
So it's unprecedented. I mean, to me, this is the biggest thing since the Second World War. And it's just a shame that the communities aren't coming together. You see all the ridiculousness of people being selfish at the supermarkets and hoarding stuff and not sharing. When there's more than enough groceries and food to go around, the shelves will be stocked back up tomorrow. Like, it's fresh food, a lot of it. So people just need to think a bit more and get that community spirit back again.
Yeah, they seem to be the main winners anyway in this, don't they? Supermarkets at the moment and toilet roll manufacturers.
Yeah, toilet rolls. I mean, frozen foods selling very well. I've seen they've been putting limits on tomato puree today as well. So maximum amount, like packs of tomato puree and is it passata as well? Because I think people are just looking for, because they've got the pasta, they need the sauce to go with it when they make themselves. So that's what's been limited and taken off the shelves. Canned food.
Oh wow!
But I see a lot of smaller stores seem to be well stocked. I think it's just the main supermarkets, and people just follow the crowds, don't they? They see somebody hoarding, think, well, I need to do the same before I miss out. Whereas everybody just bought what they needed, it'd be fine. Everyone could just get along, and there's plenty to go around. But it's bonkers.
It is just a little bit. But yeah, so those are there. Those are your options in terms of just try and support the events. Try not to add any more pressure to them than you have to. So, in terms of news, that's all we've got really. There's not really much else to talk about. There's no point us listing the absolute massive list of events that are being postponed or cancelled at the moment.
No, if you signed up to any, just go onto the Facebook pages and just keep track of them that way. I mean, you'll be getting emails as well from any events that are looking to postpone or to cancel. So just keep abreast with it as much as you can.
Yeah, it's madness. Right, so on to listener mail. Now, no one's been brave enough yet to send in an audio version of listener mail, so I don't know why everyone's being so chicken, but someone needs to crack on and get an audio one sent in just so I can see how to... I just want to get my teeth into it and have a go at that. But anyway, so this week's listener mail.
You've got mail.
So it starts, hi, Carl and OR Magazine. Question for your listeners. Question for your listener mail. Who would be your dream guest to have on the podcast? Mine would be Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Webster. If you could sort that for me, please. Winky face. And that's from Joseph Lee. So, Kevin, I've not prepped this because I know I'd be putting you on the spot as well.
Thank you.
So, yeah, exactly. So, I've tried to keep it to back in my mind without thinking about it too much. So, who would be your dream guest to have on the podcast, do you think, in terms of, well, I suppose anybody really, but...
Well, yes, somebody I've interviewed for the magazine before, but it's probably the obvious choice, but Joe DeSena, especially with everything that's going on at the moment, I don't know how much you would open up to the Spartan and Tough Mudder crisis globally. I mean, we've got a single event that we put on in the summer every year when he's got, I don't know how many events now under his watch for 2020.
Yeah.
It's been like key questions. I mean, I don't know how much he'd open up. But it's just got such a story to tell, and I think that Joe would be the one for me. Yeah,
I think for me it would probably be to be honest, Ryan's up there, but I also I'd quite like Garfield Griffiths from over in the US, the race director.
He's not from the US. He's the Geordie, isn't he?
Well, exactly. So is
Sunderland fan
British,
if he's listening, I think.
Newcastle United, isn't he?
Same thing.
So he's UK born and bred, but then he's obviously gone to live out there with his lovely wife and kids and what have you. I don't know how many years he's been out there, but he's one of the race directors for Spartan in the US. So he'd be good to get on because he could give us a whole different sort of insight into what the racing industry's like over there compared to what it's like in the UK. Because obviously we get a bit of an insight into it with Mud 7 and being as close as we are to as many race directors as we are. But yeah, it would be quite interesting to talk to him. Can you think of any others, Kev, that you'd... Obviously, John Alban. It's been a long time. I think in our very first issue of the magazine, I interviewed him. And that's like 6 years ago we last did an interview with Jonathan Alban. So I'm sure he's got a hell of a lot to say. But what about you, Kev?
Another good one would be Billy Wilson, aka Mr. Mouse, the founder of OCR. Again, he's got some great stories to tell. We've heard them all before, but I'm sure our listeners would love to hear them as well. Maybe one day.
I'm sure they would. We'd have to... I'm not sure I would take to that idea, but because he's not the greatest fan of
You'll have to reach
technology
out to
and things. Well, I can try, but we'd have to see. Catch him on a good day.
But talking about Garfield as well and putting our events on in other countries, I think we did do a feature. It's probably about 4 years ago in the magazine, where I was pointed to somebody, an English guy who'd gone out to Thailand and he was putting events on over there. And again, the different way of having to deal with the local governments and different parties over there to actually get that type of event on, the red tape you had to sort of jump through. But yeah. It should just be interesting to hear of different people in different countries and what they have to do to get these events going ahead.
Yeah, because there's cultural differences as well, and then obviously there's going to be local authorities or however they are put together over there. They're going to have different sets of challenges to deal with and things, aren't they? Like, I suppose the guys, whoever the race directors are behind the races that take place in Dubai and places like that as well, they'd be interesting to talk to because they've got a whole different set of cultural obstacles to try and get over.
Plus, we'll be getting all the Mud 7 RDs on at some point as well over the next few months. Gavin Levitt, who looks after Zeus races, I mean, he's been all over the place helping put events on, even over to China. So yeah, he'll have some good stories for us to tell as well. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, I just thought that was quite a good listener mail this week. But I do want an audio one. So if anyone's feeling brave enough, you can email it to me at carl@obstacleracemagazine.com or send it over Facebook to either the Obstacle Race Magazine Facebook page or wherever you can send a file. I'm quite happy to give out my personal number.
I'm surprised. I thought like Craig Heron, Mark Turner, Faye Kelly, somebody, Chris Dolan, somebody out there is going to send over a voice message question for us. Come on.
They're just scared though, aren't they, obviously? They're just a little bit too scared. But yeah, so that's it for listener mail this week. In terms of news this week, that pretty much wraps it up. There's not much more we can talk about this week because obviously we didn't expect the total upheaval of the entire industry that's taken place this week. Not to make any light of it, because obviously it's turned a lot of people's day-to-day lives and industry and sources of income on the heads, especially what's happened with Eventbrite holding back payments until events have taken place. That's going to put so much pressure on so many RDs to be able to pay bills that they need to pay before events day. I don't even know how that's going to work, and it's going to be difficult for them. So anyway, what we've done, we were meant to have new subscriptions launching, but until we know what's happening with races and what have you, we've got to hold off with those at the moment. But hopefully we'll be able to launch those soon. The new setup for them. So there is availability. So you can go and subscribe for free at the moment on obstacleracemagazine.com. Subscribe to the digital version of the magazine for free. And just obviously if you can and you can afford it, get yourself signed up to Mud 7 still. Still keep supporting all the local races, the bigger races. Don't just forget they're there, because that's going to be absolutely devastating for them, especially the ones that still are hoping to take place. it may be that you're thinking, oh, there's no point signing up because it might not even happen. That's like the worst thing that you can do, really. It's going to put them in such a financial dire straits that a lot of events just aren't going to happen. So they all need your support as much as possible. So please rally around, give them a hand if you can. Still keep spreading the word. But yeah, anything? Have you got anything left to say, Kev?
We've got some good interviews coming up this week. So just people will be very excited by who we're speaking to.
We've got two corkers.
Just look after each other, really, and keep washing those hands.
Yeah, so lovely stuff. Thank you very much for joining me, Kev.
No problems.
And I'll speak to you again next week.
Laters.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.